My dear friends in Jesus Christ, we are reflecting on the theme of Mary, the mother of the poor and the humble. Who's poor here and who's rich? How do you define that? Because everybody considers themselves to be poor, isn't it? If you compare yourself with somebody richer, you are poor, isn't it? What is your net worth? Today people ask each other, what is our net worth? What is your net worth? What do you define yourself as having this particular amount of wealth, this particular amount? You see, whether who's the maker of Tesla? Tesla, yes. Elon Musk, rich man. How do you say he's rich? Why do you say he's rich? He's a lot of money. A lot of money. So basically, a lot of money makes you rich. And therefore, there's a person who does not have money, the beggar outside is poor. But if you consider me, in comparison with Elon Musk, I'm poor. And so are you, isn't it? Are you not? बहुत सारा है धन दौलत भर के रखा है. No, so this is a sort of a comparison that we do with the world. But is Jesus talking about this sort of poverty in the Gospels and in the text of the Bible? Poverty, poor. Who are the poor in the spirit? What is this sort of poverty, and who is the mother of the poor? So is she not the mother of the rich? Is she not the mother of Elon Musk and anybody else who's a rich person? No. So the Gospels, the text in the Bible, is referring to poverty as an attitude. What sort of attitude does a person have? So when we are talking about poor and humble, they are both speaking of a type of an attitude. If I am having all the basic necessities in my life and I'm doing well in my life and I'm craving for more, there comes an attitude where I'm desiring for more, not caring for the others. There is an attitude. And that is a problematic thing that we speak about in the text of the Bible. The text of the Bible is not against the wealthy. It says the wealthy will find it difficult to enter even the hole of a needle, isn't it? That's the text of the Bible tells us. But it's not against the wealthy. It's against an attitude that the wealthy have, or the attitude that any individual could have. Not necessarily because of wealth. Wealth could be one of the reasons that you can have that attitude. So, this sort of attitude that we have is a problem for Christ, is a problem for gospel values. An attitude where we look down on the other. The attitude where I look at myself as superior. My net worth is this much, and therefore I am something great. If this is the attitude, Jesus says, you are not going to enter the kingdom. So it's not just monetary allowance or monetary amount that we own, but the attitude that we have towards the other, in spite of having all that we have, how do we deal with others? And that's the question that Jesus is asking us today. When we reflect upon the life of Mary, and we say Mary is the mother of the poor and the humble. Now let's see, Mary. Does Mary have this attitude? Does Mary has this attitude of a person who is poor? A person who is poor, who, if you observe, Jesus gives an example. No, he says the lady who puts, the widow who puts in the coin, the smallest of smallest coin that she puts, and he praises her because he looks at not her mere giving, but he looks at the attitude that she has, that she's being selfless. She's spending from what she has minimum for the good of the other, and that attitude is praised. Does Mary have this attitude? Is she really the mother of the poor and the humble? Because if she is, then she needs to have this attitude. So one of the greatest example, and why we talk about Mary as the mother of the poor, is because having the greatest wealth, she gives it for the salvation of humankind. A son, the beloved son. Moreover, not merely a son, a physicality of the being the son, but the Son of God. Now there you go. That is a greater sacrifice. So knowing that Jesus is the Son of God, knowing that she's conceived by the power of God, this has happened to her, knowing that God utilized her womb to come into the world, she's willing to give that Son, the greatest treasure of the world, for others. There you go. She resembles or gives us the perfect attitude of a pure and true disciple, of allowing yourself or to give others from the best that you have. Not to possess it, not to hold on to it, not to say, this is mine, my son, I have to hold on to it, he is mine, I cannot share with him. No, for the good of the others. And I always ask myself, what are the feelings that she's undergoing when she sees the body of Christ being brought down and laid in her arms? The dead son. An attitude of giving. And that's the attitude of the poor. Jesus praises the attitude of the poor because there is an attitude of giving, an attitude of selflessness, an attitude where you do not want to possess, but rather you want to keep on giving till the time it hurts. And it hurts bad. How many of us, my dear friends, literally ask for some suffering from God? We never ask for suffering from God. Our prayer is, Lord, take away this cup away from us. Take away this difficult moment. Take away this. We say, hey, let us have some good times. But sometimes we do pray for suffering. If my mother is suffering, I say to God, Lord, take away her suffering. Let me share her suffering. If my son, your child is suffering, your prayer is, let me bear that burden. Let him not suffer or let her not suffer. If your wife is suffering, you pray to God, okay, let her suffer. No, no, let me not, no, let me suffer on her part. Or the husband is suffering, you say, let me suffer. No, that should be your attitude of selflessness where you say, I take upon your suffering upon me. That is the attitude of being a little divine. We are all people sitting here. We want to be, more and more Christ-like, and to be more and more Christ-like is to be divine, isn't it? We want to be divine, and the divinity comes from this attitude where you are totally ready to sacrifice or ready to give yourself in the basic things that are happening in your life for the good of the other, not just monetarily. Because we are not talking about monetary giving, merely monetary giving. We are talking about an attitude of selflessness, an attitude of giving in its totality. Okay, fine. That could be termed as an attitude of selflessness and giving. But what is the attitude of humility? If that is being poor, poor being having and then giving to the other and having the right attitude towards God, then what is being humble? Rich comes with haughtiness. Poor comes with humility. These are the things that these values match one another. Rich can also be humble because a friend of mine is very well to do, but if you see him roaming around like simple clothes, very simple, he'll even speak to the gardener and the worker, and everybody's so nice, so humble. So it's not just that way that we consider that the rich are always haughty. No. How do we follow? Humility basically is to, what did Christ do? Is to humble himself till the extent of others trampling down upon yourself, where you are able to forgive, where you are able to let go, where you are able to say no to the big I and the ego that I have for the good of the community. So, both these attitudes, whether it be poverty or humility, are for the community. And Mary is the best example because Mary does not proudly say, see, my son is doing this. Between you and me, my aunt, when I got ordained, uh, and I went and said my first mass, she was sitting down there, and every second person she met, she think, Tom also, Tom also put, she's my great aunt, I mean, she's my daddy's sister. She was like, to padri ne, to padri, to mozo put, to mozo put, to mozo put. So it's a great pride. So I remember this because she did it in front of the crowd, and I was telling her, "Rede, rao pura pura, naka." But that is what, and you see great pride. And I said, actually, it should be humble. Actually, it should be contrast. When you say, priesthood is servanthood, and Christianity is being like a servant. And for that, you may be persecuted. Humility, poverty comes with suffering and persecution. And we know that's the system in India today, the situation in India today. Persecution at the go. Because of the garb that you wear, ah, there is danger. Because of the habit that you wear or the cassock that you wear, there is danger. It will not be late when for the cross that you have on your, there will be danger for your faith because Christ tells, for your faith, you will be persecuted. My question to myself and to you is this: is my attitude right? Am I humble enough? Am I willing to accept suffering? Am I willing to let go of everything? My dear friends, it's difficult, no? All these questions seem to be very difficult. I ask myself, if I am caught on the road and they catch my throat and say, Catholic, Catholic, what will be my reaction? What will be your reaction? Say, "नहीं, नहीं, 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 मेरे को मालूम नहीं हमको." What will be our reaction? We ask ourselves, no? Mary does not waver. Mary does not shake in her faith. Mary has got the perfect attitude, and therefore she is a model for us to follow, a model for us to emulate, a model for us to recognize. See, Mary having everything, rather the son who is closest to her is willing to give the son for the salvation of all. Mary, knowing that it is the plan of God that Christ should die on the cross. Mary, willing to be the mother of the church, goes along with John and stays with John. Mary, giving herself in its totality, becoming a sort of nothing in the story of Christ, gives us a model to emulate and follow. I always had a desire. I always had a desire that people should remember me after I die. Like, no, if I ask myself, our fourth generation after I die, people are going to forget me. No, I always had a desire that hey, I can either do a big crime, so people will remember me for a long time, or I can be a very great saint, so that people remember me for a long time. But I know for sure both are not in my capacity. Okay, how will people remember me? So I was reading, and I read one of the saints. I think it was Teresa of Avila. And when I read her, she writes like this. She says, Lord, I pray that I should be forgotten. Lord, I pray that I should be forgotten. Oh my God, when I heard this, my whole system shook. Because till that day I was thinking, no, 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 people should remember, people should remember. No, 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 no. Humility being nothingness, an attitude of nothingness, where you don't hold to the positions, you don't hold to the grandeur, you don't hold to anything. Rather, have an attitude of being Christ like, where you are willing to give yourself without wavering, holding the faith like Mary did, and allowing His work to work within you. And I pray, my dear friends, that this grace may be in all of us. We may receive this grace tonight, that as we go back home, we may ask God, Lord, help me be like Mary, unwavering in faith, with an attitude of poverty, not haughtiness, an attitude of giving myself in its totality. Let us pray as we pause for a while.